I'd want to know, what is one word that describes Dr. Ezekiel Mutua?
Integrity. But you see, people just hear the name Ezekiel Mutua, they would think you came from the bush. If you told them this guy was working in New York at the UN Secretary General's Committee, these are things you can Google. I've given myself to studying matters, information and communication, and the power of information and the power of technology. I served in the UN Secretary General's Committee on Information in New York. We got to manage this bombardment of information on our kids, particularly what is coming through the airwaves, through the gadgets, through Netflix, and all that. We are all born within space and time, and there are three things that I really respect in life: people, time, and place. Don't play victim. The world owes you nothing. You've got to fight your way through. Wake up, dress up, show up.
Welcome to the biggest and only book club show in the region. My name is Emma Kithinji. I will be your host. So we set up to read this book, What They Don't Teach You at Harvard Business School. And there was no better guest than the guest I will be introducing today, Dr. Ezekiel Mutua.
It's an honor to be at the book club. The biggest, eh?
The biggest and only.
And only.
And only
I
book club
agree.
in the
I
region.
agree.
So
Yeah.
thank you very much for being
Thank you.
here.
It's my pleasure.
I'd want to know, what is one word that describes Dr. Ezekiel Mutua?
Integrity.
And how has integrity been a core value? How has it helped you being a core value that you possess?
When you get a sense of right and wrong that is inborn, that is coming out of your own self-pride and respect, to do the right thing when no one is watching, okay? And not for the cheering squad or for the spectators, but because of self-respect. I think there's a sense of satisfaction and pride and confidence and set standards in life that help you become bigger than life without you knowing.
Yeah, true.
It doesn't matter what position you hold. It doesn't matter your bank account. I think that sense of integrity, that sense of right and wrong, that ability to do the right thing when no one is watching is one of the greatest achievements in life. And I think that's why we live. I think life is a gift. To live it right is a blessing, both to the one who gives the life and those of us who are blessed to live.
Who is Dr. Ezekiel Mutua, stripped of the title CEO, stripped of the title, any other title that you have?
I'm many things. I'm son to very old parents, Esther and Joseph. I'm blessed to have my parents as centenarians, and to have been, I don't want to say their favorite son. My brothers and sisters will kill me. So I'm a son, I'm a husband, I'm a father, and I'm many things to so many things. But what I like to do every day is to be a good man.
Ezekiel Mutua is a good man.
That can be said of the kid. You know, I went somewhere last Sunday. I was godfather to some innocent kids. Some family picked me. The kids were getting dedicated at Milimani AIC on Sunday, and I got a request about a month ago from this family for me to godfather those kids during their dedication, and I thought they were joking. So we did it on Sunday, and we went for lunch, and I was looking at it, and I was like, this is big. And then one of the kids started interrogating me, you know. So, but the question he asked is, "Are you Ruto?" I think I think I look like a man. Because seriously, the young boy, "Are you Ruto?" So they repeated. There was I was asking them, why would this young person look like? I think they said, okay, maybe he sees him on TV, but bottom line is probably you look like you have a future.
All right, now let's get into the book. And when we were talking about this book, when we were reading this book, there's something that is not very clear, and they're asking themselves, is leadership an art or is it a science?
It could actually be both, but leadership is a calling. I think we are all born within space and time, and there are three things that I really respect in life: people, time, and place. And each one of us was born or was brought by God to this world within that tripartite arrangement to serve a particular purpose. And therefore, if you fit into that well, in terms of your life focusing in serving God, serving others, and then appropriating the time and the space and the places where you have been placed, you eventually emerge as a leader, because a leader provides solutions to his people or to her people within the environment, the challenges. A leader looks for solutions. I joke about this, but now it's happening to me literally, because I lost my brother. And we are going through the period of mourning. Yesterday we had the first meeting. And I always tell people, even if I go to a burial, become the chairman of the committee, I am actually not chairing that one. It's not because you impose, but because you get there and you are providing solutions and you want to get things done for others to be happy, for things to work well, for society to be orderly. You just emerge as a leader, and I think that is an inborn trait, but you can perfect it, you know, through science, through learning. I have always believed in learning something new every day.
I want us to delve in page 33 of this book, and it is something that I have seen you do. It says, mean what you say. And that is not anything that can be taught in any school. Yes. We have seen you, especially during your tenure at KFCB, we saw you teaching us about the watershed period.
Yes.
And, you know, fighting for the kids of this country. You meant what you said and you fought for it.
Yes.
How important is that in life?
Very critical. Mean what you say. And that's where conviction comes in. You do things from a sense of conviction. And I talked about bettering your skills so that you're also relevant in the cause that you are pushing. I think when I moved to KFCB in 2015, October 2015, we had just myself, C.S. Matiang'i, the likes of Professor Ndemo and others, we had pushed the digital migration. And you remember it was resisted by the media to the point where we went to the Supreme Court, and even after the Supreme Court ruled in the favor of the ministry, the media, the TV stations switched themselves off for 3 weeks. We didn't have TV in Kenya. But I was part of that campaign as a technocrat, and having been Director of Information, and then I was Secretary of Information. I was pushed by the realization that technology is critical for us to be able to achieve convenience and speed in delivery of service. Timely delivery of service required that we have to be part of the global move, which is inspired by technology. So technology is good, but anything good has the other side. The flip side of technology, which I saw, that again inspired by my own academic pursuit, having been a journalist and a communications person, was that that flip side could outdo the good if we don't watch, because it's a double-edged sword. So yes, we wanted to move and have 3G internet, 4G, 5G, and be able to transact business as we are doing today, which is a great thing, because Kenya, I think now, is the #1 in Africa in terms of high-speed internet. I think we are #9 in the world, and we have done very well. But anything good, if you don't put attendant structures and framework for regulation, then you end up in chaos. It's a recipe for chaos. So that's what I saw. And out of my own conviction, and knowing how critical the family is, my worry was how children will be influenced by this fascination with technology, the new programs, the availability of handheld devices. You know, my former peers used to joke, Professor Ndemo, that when a child cries in Africa, in Kenya, you give them an iPhone. And parents were doing that without knowing the dangers that come with technology. So I had analyzed that, I looked at it, I attended conferences from Geneva to Paris. Remember, I served in Paris as the vice chair of the UNESCO's Committee on Information for 2 years. And therefore, I've given myself to studying matters, information and communication, and the power of information and the power of technology. I served in the UN Secretary General's Committee on information in New York. And so out of all this and global experience and the traveling, I used to attend the Global Association Summit in Barcelona every year. And you meet with great minds. I interacted with global personalities who are also thinking about the future and how the world will look like. And we're looking at the dangers. That time terrorism is growing. There is a threat to peace and security. And I was like, as government officials, these are things we need to give our minds to.
True.
And therefore craft policies that will protect future generations. Otherwise, we will have no country. We do a good thing like bringing in digital migration. We were the first country in Africa to fully migrate from analog to digital.
Oh, nice.
But then the attendant risks were not being mitigated upon. And there was a real danger. So when I saw an opening at KFCB, even though I was the highest ranking information person in the government, I actually applied, I was interviewed, and I became CEO of Kenya Film Classification Board. But I moved there not just to take up a job, but with this vision and with the wealth of experience that I had over the years to resolve the issue of regulation of content and clean airwaves. For the children particularly, the word you have used, watershed, was not quite known. People are free to watch anything. Adults are free to watch anything they want to watch. But we have a duty as a government to protect our children, to promote moral values. In fact, it is the duty of the government to promote the morality and the culture of its country. So I saw that I was making sense, and I had a critical mass of people who are buying that story, that we need to protect our children from exposure to harmful content. So I would go to Parliament. I even went to the Chief Justice, and I would ask those questions. Would you want your children to watch pornography? Would you want your children to be destroyed? And some of the things I was saying, like now when the Blue Whale Challenge came, and the kids, with these gadgets, were being taken through challenges that parents are not aware about, but using a razor blade, testing your current, you cut yourself, then you graduate to another level, and the final one is you jump into a high building and commit suicide. You remember those stories?
Yeah, yes.
And I used to say, watching dirty content, watching violent content, watching obscene content, kids being socialized into vulgarity and profanity, we are building a society that will take so much money to govern. We got to manage this bombardment of information on our kids, particularly what is coming through the airwaves, through the gadgets, through Netflix, and all that. And that was out of conviction. So I stood for it. It was not popular. I was called names and very bad articles. Between 2016 and 2019, and 2017, I had 19 cartoons by the biggest cartoonist in East Africa. And they were gory, they were bad.
They were bad.
The whole idea was demonizing. In fact, fortunately, there was a discussion about legalization of LGBT. That conversation was going on in Kenya at the same time with Botswana. Botswana legalized. And I was saying, let's wait and see the law, because I was regulating according to the law. If the law allows it here, then we'll have a different conversation. They outlawed. The judges, the High Court outlawed. So I stick to the law. And when Wanuri Kayu produced the film Rafiki, I restricted it in Kenya.
I remember.
Because it was glamorizing, glorifying homosexuality. That was the thinking. And these are things that are informed by education, by the law, and by interaction. But you see, people just hear the name Ezekiel Mutua, they would think you came from the bush. If you told them this guy was working in New York at the UN Secretary General's Committee, these are things you can Google. And believe you me, Emma, one time I got an invitation. I thought it was fake, actually. I thought somebody was from the Hollywood Film Festival. The chairman wrote through our office, and he was like, "We want you to be our chief guest in Los Angeles, in California." At what? At the Hollywood Film Festival 2019. We thought it was a joke, but I flew first class to attend. And do you know when the chairman came to pick me at the airport, do you know what he told me? He told me, "Do not tell us what you want to hear. We invited you because you have sat as a board. We hear your strange, dogma and the narrative about content regulation. And we want to engage you from your point of view. So don't come and tell us what we want to hear. We want to engage with you from what we have studied about you." And we had a very interesting conversation. We had one of the most glamorous Hollywood film festivals of the century. One of the greatest joys of my life was when my son, who was in Riara, one time came home. Told me, "Oh, Dad, you can't believe what happened today. We were doing exams, so the exam is set, and then turn the paper and start. And then kids are saying, Joe, check number 4, you are done. The question was, yes, the question was about, as Ezekiel Mutua says or something, it was about me. What gives you that? So I said, in short, I created a national conversation.
And when I listen to all these things that you're saying, you will not have done it without belief in self.
Yes.
That is something that this book talks about and says that you must be able to believe in self to be able to do the things that you have set to do in business, in life. Belief in self. Is it something that you had growing up, or did it just...
It's actually what I was saying. It's a sense of conviction when you're doing things, but it also comes from a lifestyle that you have built over time. Becoming the head boy of my primary school, almost 40 years ago, because I was there. I think I was small, I can't even remember. I hear now those stories. Being the head boy of Mala Secondary School, being the school captain and CU chairman of Tala High School, where I did my A-levels, and over the years, and the exposure. There are 3 E's that contribute to greatness: education, experience, and exposure. So ideally, the target should be every day becoming a better person, doing things out of conviction. But as you do so every day, because we don't know how long we live, some people, Martin Luther King, I think, died at 39.
At 39.
We quote him to date.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
At 39. And there are many others who did not live like Nelson Mandela to be the age of Nelson Mandela. We quote them to date. Obama, in his late 50s, has ruled America and retired. I mean, so it's not the longevity, like I said, it's a sense of do it from a point of conviction, but use the habits, particularly the things that you do when no one is watching. Because a lot of character development actually comes from the closest, from the closets. Being able to read books, being able to watch the right content, being able to pray, being able to isolate yourself and have a retreat with yourself. Omanyala, our now 100-meter sensation and world champion, because of practicing. What you see when you get into the track at the Commonwealth is not, that's not the Omanyala. That is a product of a lot of effort in the back room, in the dark, waking up early, running in the bush, practicing, training. So that when you see him there, you are seeing something that has been refined out of sweat and blood. But as we celebrate that end product without knowing what it takes to become a champion. So it is that practice in the dark. It is that running, is the exercise you do. It's you taking care of your mental health. It is the things that you do when you are alone to build a better personality so that when you come into the public, you are more useful. That is what contributes to that greatness. So experience, yes, but experience born out of personal discipline, a sense of being able to turn away when you could have, done otherwise, and a sense of self-discipline so that when you get to the arena, then you perform to the expectations.
Now, there's something in page 42 that I found very interesting, Daktari. The most important personal asset. And they say, obviously, the real answer is common sense. But if you don't have it already, you probably never will. And there's nothing I can say here that's going to change that. Then he goes ahead and says, common sense aside, then the most important asset is a sense of humor, an ability to laugh at yourself or the situation. Do you ever have moments of laughing at yourself?
Oh, I thought I shared that with you. Every day. I had a problem at work. I was the secretary. I was the director of information. And then I had a problem with the media owners because we had just started the Media Council of Kenya and we were funding it. And they were saying, if you're getting money from the government, then we must have some conversation about how you'll be regulated. Otherwise, you can as well fund it. It was not a very nice conversation, like I told you. And the media owners decided this guy must go. He's not good for us. So they went to the head of public service and reported me. And they gave the condition, you want the media to support this government, get that guy out. So when I was told, I like my boss then, Professor Ndemo, he told me, just go and see Muthaura and ask for forgiveness, tell him to help you. Otherwise, these guys will get you out of job. So I remember I went and when he opened the door, I knelt down. And you know, I told him, sir, me, I come from the bush. I don't understand even why I do some things. And now I function. And I'm very sorry. So, he was lifting me, you're embarrassing me. What are you doing? And I was like, I don't even want to justify anything. Guilty as charged, how do we resolve the matter? And he told me, no, nobody's firing you. But I think the ability to create that drama. So I always tell people, and we laugh it off. And it was a very serious situation. And there are so many. Life is not that serious. Just be able to laugh it. And the whole idea is to go to bed without baggage. Every day ends with the day. The problems, the negativities, the baggage. If you can be able to close that chapter every day and remove the baggage and return there. You know the one I never told you. One time, I was in I think first year. I don't know what was happening. I think things were not just one of those days when you're broke. Things are not working. At that time we had burnt some lecturer's car. I was not there. I was actually praying. We were all pelted with stones in the knee. So ended up in a period where we didn't have money. We were out there, and I was so hungry. And one time I got there was a supermarket called Jack and Chill. Kule town.
I remember.
Kule chini.
OTC.
Mimi nilingia huko nikachukua mkate na maziwa nikakula bila kulipa. I didn't have money. So some watchman saw me, and so he treated me as a thief. So they came, they were beating me, and I told them, stop. You call the owner of the shop or the manager. Do you know who I am? So I think that confidence made them kind of stop. Yeah, I spoke to them. I told them, what are you doing? Ati wewe umekula kitu na hujanipa. Mimi wewe ni mwizi. I said, no, I'm not thief. But I was so angry I needed to eat. And this guy has bread and milk. So I got in there and nikakula. Do you know, when the owner came and I told him my story, I ended up now with a bag full of goodies. He was so amused by that story. It's like, you're actually serious. You know what I mean? No, because it's all a few things in my bag. I'm a very brilliant chap. I taught in my school. I was the school captain of Tala High School. I was giving him stories. I'm not fluke. I'm a good guy. In fact, I can manage this shop of yours, but I'm a student. And I was so amused. We remained friends. He passed on, unfortunately.
Angry
In
man.
other words, you must solve your problems.
Yes.
And the best way to do it is to take even that risk to remain alive, whatever it takes.
You must fail enough times. And I'm sure you have instances you have failed. What can you tell our members and anybody else who is watching that I failed and I did not stay there?
No, the bit of it, me, I failed publicly. I think the last decade I did. No, not decade, more than a decade. From 2005, I got into public life. I appeared on TV first in 1998. I didn't even know what it meant. When I was first captured in The Nation, covered in The Nation, I would go with the newspaper in a matatu, but I wanted people to know that story. It's me they're talking about. But in 2005, when I became Secretary General of KAG, I got into public life. I was hosted, I was dining with the president. I told you I've had meeting in the White House. I became a global phenomenon. But when now you are succeeding, you also create equal enemies. And sometimes I think it's difficult for you to succeed continually without those challenges unless you build a brand that is so strong, it reaches a point where it is not affected by small, storms. But in the process of growing, before you reach there, you'll fail terribly. And me, I failed publicly because I've been in the media, so you will always find stories in the media. Last year, around this time, this August, last year, people wrote me off and wrote my obituary. Last year only. When I was removed out of KFCB, the minister sent policemen. And there was no paperwork or anything. It was policemen changing the locks and so on. And holding guns. I was not in the office, so I was wondering if I was there. Were they expecting me to resist or something? And the Nation page 1 was Deputy Jesus could not save himself. It was page 1 of our biggest newspaper. They claimed in East and Central Africa. I was item number 1 on every TV station in Kenya. August last year. And they were like, you can Google the stories, the headlines, and it was like, what a sad ending to a career, to a glamorous career. Others were, oh, finally, the moral cop is gone. They were just negative. It was all public.
Do they have an idea that your story was just starting? Look at you today.
You see, they didn't know there were many other stories of failure. You see, the moment you learn that failure gives you an opportunity to rise, failure becomes a springboard for you to get to the next level. Then you celebrate it. You take it in your stride and you fall with grace. And then the important thing is that you wake up. Now, when that is attacked, if you're not founded on a strong ground, on faith and in prayer, how do you go forward? That's why I'm asking. How do you live without God, without a sense of prayer and spirituality that gives you inspiration when there's nobody to cheer you up? Because there'll be moments when the crowds will go, the music will stop, and you're on your own. And those are the moments when you need to have some deposit of faith and spiritual, a bank where you can draw from to survive difficult times. So being a prayerful person helps a lot.
Faith and prayer. I can get from this interview that faith and prayer are the things, some of the things that have made Daktari stand and be strong. So, I mean, that is a question we would all ask ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you don't want to go deeper into it. It is personal.
Yes.
Daktari, as we wind up, there's something about you know, how important it is to show up right. Personal branding. And it's something that we have seen, you know, with you.
Yes.
Personal branding. Who am I? How important is that?
I think poverty is the best teacher. You know, when you come from a position of disadvantage, I think you work harder on yourself and so on. And that's why I'm very unforgiving on somebody who sells their poverty as their point of strength. It is not. So don't appear to me poor, because no, I'm not interested with massaging people's egos and lifting people who cannot lift themselves. Because when you come putting yourself as miserable, as beaten, like I said, I think we need to face this reality, and I hope I'm not being harsh, I'm just trying to convey a message. The world owes you nothing. If you start from that point, you don't present yourself as a victim. You present yourself as a victim. Show up prepared, psychologically. Learn to start the day by taking a deep breath and praying and asking God to give you the grace and the mercies. I always say, if you can't pray another prayer, the Lord's Prayer does it.
Yeah, true. I usually have a very interesting section that I call the fountain conversation, the water cooler conversation. And maybe we can just go through it in 5 minutes. The first one, are you on TikTok?
People have done some things about me and put them there. I'm a celebrity, so I've been put there. I have not put myself there, but I've seen stuff about myself. All
right, tell me something that's true about you that when you say it somewhere, nobody would believe it.
Oh, gosh. That is true about me. Oh, no, I don't know. That one you have caught me off guard. One thing. There's so many things.
Just one.
The one to the right about, you know. I'm authentic.
You are?
I'm as authentic as they come.
What would you do if you were not afraid?
If I was not afraid, I would change the world by providing leadership at a different level. I think I've been timing for too long. 3
people you'd want to have dinner with, dead or alive?
Starting with you. When do I dinner with you? I've liked your interview, and thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you. Yeah. We will plan.
Yes. I'm intending to have to visit Rome and to see the Pope. I hope I will get the chance. And then how do I put this? I read Michelle Obama's books, and I would like to meet her. Michelle inspires me greatly. So if I was to put it that way, then I would have lunch with Emma, and I would have lunch with the Pope, and I would have lunch with Michelle Obama.
Thank you very much. That's an honor.
I celebrate her birthday, and there's a time, by the way, the husband responded to my comment.
You truly are a celebrity.
Two
books you would recommend to our members?
Do you know, right now I'm reading the Bible for, I think this is the 20th time. I want to go cover to cover. But I think besides what they never taught you at Harvard School, Business School, I think I would recommend people to read. It's very fascinating.
Which 2 leaders have impacted your life?
I always refer to three, so to avoid offending them.
Yes.
I was privileged when I worked at the Nation for 9 years to become friends with Dr. Alfred Kiboro, who was the MD. Then when I moved to the Ministry of Information, Professor Mbitange Demo, then Dr. Mbitange Demo was the PS, the leadership skills, and then CS Matiang'i.
The last words, or the last words on this show that you'd want to tell our viewers, and particularly the people who are, you know, the age of 30 to 40, because that's the demographic of our book club.
Don't play victim. The world owes you nothing. You've got to fight your way through. People call it kimbelembele, you know, every time you try to seize opportunities to show up. You are likely to be labeled kimbelembele, but tell me one person who has succeeded in life, who has no some measure of kimbelembele. It is that ability to go forth, whether the crowds are cheering or hating on you, to be able to show up and to refuse to play victim, but to be a victor.
So we have come to the end of our show. Thank you very much, Daktari, for honoring us with your time, even at this, you know, point that you are bereaved, and we mourn with you. We mourn with you.
I came to this show so that when I watch it, I'll remember that I came when I was mourning my brother.
And may the good Lord give you people comfort.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. And kama kawaida, I want to say a big thank you to Boyz TV for believing in the dream. My partners, my donors, Old Books for New Eyes, and Lions Eye Group Kenya, thank you very much. In the last 1 month, we have set up 7 libraries in Mukuru slums, and it was all because of them. Thank you very much, and have a good one. Thank you.